Hi everyone, welcome back. This week in Level F, we're going to be going over lessons 113 through 116. You will need worksheets 94 through 97, warm-up practice sheet 13, the Activities for Learning Abacus, the Casio calculator, the Math Card Games book, and your percentage, fraction, and basic number cards. Remember, the percentage cards are in the fraction deck. In lesson 113, we will introduce the term percent and percentages and understand percentages as a fraction of 100. After a few oral warm-up questions, continue with the discussion of percent and how to draw a percent symbol. Next, you'll have your student notice how the abacus can be used as a model for percents. Let's take a look.
So because percent means out of 100 or per 100, we can use the abacus as a model for percent. How many beads do we have? We have 100 beads on the abacus. So if we enter half of those beads, this is 50%, because we have 50 out of 100. 1/2 is 50%. Okay, what if we asked for 1/4 of the beads? So 1/4 of the beads would be 25, but it might be easier for them to see it in quadrants. So here is another 25. This is 1/4 of the beads. We have 1/4 here, one here, one here, and one here, right? So 1/4 of 100 is 25 beads, right? So that's 25% of the beads. Okay, so you can go ahead and continue to ask your child to find the percent for 1/5 of the beads or 1/10 of the beads. And then ask, how could you find the percent for 1/8? So one way to think of 1/8 is half of 1/4. So if we took half, it would be something like this. We have to cut this one in half, right? So how much would that be? That would be 10, 2 more is 12 and a half. So 1/8 of the beads, we can now move these all over. 1/8 of 100 is 12.5 beads, or 12.5%. Okay, let's look at finding 30% of 100. So one way to look at it is to say, well, 1/3 of 90 is 30. And 1/3 of 9, so here we'd have 9, 1/3 of that would be 3, right? 1, 2, 3. So 1/3 of 9 is 3. And so we're up to 99. We were supposed to be working with 100. So you have one remaining bead. So our answer so far is 33%, but we have to still deal with this one bead. And we need 1/3 of it. So 33 1/3% is 1/3 of 100.
All right, go ahead and have your child complete worksheet 94. And on this worksheet, your child is asked to find the percentage of a fraction and the decimal. So some of these decimals your child might not be 100% confident about. So I would go ahead and let them use the calculator. So for example, the fraction is 1/3, the percent is 33 1/3. And then to find the decimal, you would just divide 1 divided by 3. And that gives you 0.333. Okay, so go ahead and let them use the calculator if they need help finding the decimal. Okay, once the worksheet is done, ask the in conclusion questions and play 100% game, which is F50 in the Math Card Games book. In lesson 114, we will solve word problems that involve percentages and use the percentage key on the calculator. We have a few oral questions having the child state the fraction for a given percent. If they're a little rusty on that, they can go ahead and use their percent and fraction circles from the previous lessons. Have your child attempt problem number 1. It is important to allow your child to try different solutions on the calculator and be okay with being wrong. That's how we discover how things work. So it's okay to take those chances and, maybe get the wrong answer. After exploring the possible solutions, go over the 5 ways that are explained in the lesson book. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at that right now.
Okay, so problem number 1 says the price of materials for a project is $67. Then the price went up by 8%. What's the new price? So there's 5 different ways that are listed to solve this problem. And the first 2 do not require a calculator. So I'll go through those. The ones that do require a calculator, you're just going to have to look at the description in the book, because I realize that the document camera cannot capture what's on my calculator very well. So the first way we can do this, the first method, is to say 67 plus 67 times 8%. This is how you'd write 8%. And then 67 plus this answer right here, which is $5.36. Add those 2 together, and we get $72.36. Now, if your child wants to use the calculator for this part of the equation, that's fine. And then go ahead and add these together. The second method actually is my favorite method, and that is 67 times 1.08 equals $72.36.
Once the different methods are understood, it's fine if your student settles on one preferred method. That's perfectly fine. Have your child work through the other 4 problems and explain the solutions, and then play the percentage memory game, which is F46 in the Math Card Games book. There is a blog about it on the Right Start Math website, and I will leave a link to that in the description. After the game, be sure to follow up with the in conclusion questions. In lesson 115, we will solve more percentage problems. The warm-up is on practice sheet 13, and it's the second section. After making sure that the warm-up questions are answered correctly, have your student read and solve problem number 1. The discussion of the solution is very important. It's one thing to solve a problem, but a more complex task to explain how to solve the problem to someone else. So please don't skip those discussions because they're really important. We'll go ahead and take a look at problem number 3.
Okay, so problem number 3 says that there was a red shirt that was originally $16.50, and it's now on sale for 15% off. So one way you could find this out is to say, okay, 1650 times 15%, and use the percent button on your calculator, and then push minus. So the red shirt is now $14.03. I think a simpler way of doing this problem is to say, okay, if it's 15% off, that means I'm paying 85%. So then I would do 1650 times 85%, and my answer would still be $14.03. Now, of course, if you don't want your child or working with the calculator, or you don't happen to have it at hand, this problem can also be solved by saying $16.50 times 0.85. That takes care of this percent button. And then we can go ahead and do the calculation. So this would, of course, be 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 6 is 30, plus the 2 is 32. 5 times 1 is 5, plus the 3 is 82. So that would be 82.50. And then 8 times 0 is 0. 8 times 5 is 40. Carry the 4. 8 times 6 is 48, plus 2 from the 4 is 50. So my answer is 52. 8 times 1 is 8 plus 5 is 13. And then we just add it together. And we see how many decimal points there are, how many places there are. There's 4. So we move over 4 places. So my answer is $14.03 because we're going to look to the right and round up. Sorry about that. I see that I had written down below the screen. So here is what that looks like if you're doing it the paper and pencil method. Now the green shirt, of course, can be solved in the same manner. So we have the green shirt, and it was originally $23.49. It's now 40% off. So we multiply that by 40, push the percent sign on your calculator and minus, because remember we're subtracting 40% to get our final answer. And our answer is that the green shirt is $14.09. So the red shirt is cheaper than the green shirt by 6 cents. But remember, you can also do this calculation with the paper and pencil algorithm. So you don't have to have a calculator. Here we have $23.49. I would, as I said, multiply that by 60% because that's how much I'm going to pay, and go ahead and do those calculations. Okay, so 0 times all of that is 0. 6 times 9, sorry, is 54. Carry the 5. 6 times 4 is 24 plus 5 is 29. 6 times 3 is 18 plus 2 is 20. 6 times 2 is 12 plus 2 is 14. And then once again, find out where the decimal point goes based on how many places there are. So there's 4 places. Count over 4 places. So my answer is $14.09.
Okay, so after the worksheet is finished, go ahead and play Percentage War, which is game F48, then ask the in conclusion questions. Lesson 116 does have a correction. So if your book was printed before June 3rd of 2020, please follow the link in the description. So this lesson is a really fun one about probabilities, and that's true for the next one as well. Go ahead and ask the oral warm-up questions and then give worksheet 97 to your student. For all of these problems, it's helpful to draw a grid of possibilities. Now in the book, they don't show one for the first problem, so I'm going to go ahead and draw one for you.
Okay, so as I said, it's always nice to have a grid to work with for these problems. And the other problems kind of provide that, but this one doesn't. If your child doesn't need it, that's fine. Obviously, the solution is to multiply 4, these are the shirts, 4 times the choice of pants or shorts, 4 times 3, and my answer is 12. But if that's not jumping out to your child, I would go ahead and create a grid like this. I just chose colors. So this is red, yellow, green, blue, orange, indigo, violet. So my first choice is red shirt, orange pants, red shirt, indigo pants, red shirt, violet pants, yellow shirt, orange pants, yellow shirt, indigo pants, yellow shirt, violet pants, and so forth. And then once this is filled in, your child should be able to see that there are 12 possibilities. How did we get the 12 possibilities? Well, one way to say that we got that is to multiply 4 times 3. So 4 times 3 equals 12.
So make sure to have your child discuss the solutions to the problems. That's probably the most important part of the entire process, is explaining how they got their answer. Go ahead and ask the in conclusion questions and then play rows and columns, which is game A53 in the Math Card Games book. Thanks so much for joining me. That's all we have for this week, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.